Hi, welcome back, students. We are going to be going over the least cost worksheet and the profit maximization exercises. This is a worksheet that was two-sided. We did after the activity 4.2 in our lesson on least cost. So this is some practice on the two different methods of determining the optimal amount of resources in factor markets. So the first part, the front side of the worksheet, is helping us understand the least cost formula. The least cost rule or least cost formula combination is that we want to set the marginal product of each resource divided by the price of that resource equal to one another. So the rule states that we want to spend our last dollar on resources such that the marginal product per dollar is the same for each resource. So if we're looking at labor and capital, we want the MP of labor over the price of labor equal to the marginal product of capital over the price of capital. So the worksheet starts by giving us the marginal physical product or marginal product of land, labor, and capital for 5 different firms. At the top, it tells us what the rates are or prices are for those resources. So land is going to cost me $25 per hour, labor is going to cost me $15 per hour, capital is $50 per hour. So the first thing you need to do in order to figure out the least cost combination of resources is to determine what the marginal product per dollar is for each resource. So for firm A, $100 divided by $25 is going to be 4. So if our marginal product of 100 divided by $25 is going to give us a marginal product per dollar of 4. We do the same thing for labor. 30 divided by 15 is 2. And capital, 100 divided by 50 is 2. Now notice 4, 2, and 2 are not all equal. Now 2 and 2 are equal, so clearly we have to do something to land to get this down to number 2. So the least cost combination is going to assume that all 3 of them are going to be the same. So we need to move this down to 2. How do we move the marginal product per dollar down? Well, we're going to have to change the marginal product. Now, how are we going to do that? Well, if we increase the output of the land, that will lower the marginal product. Decreasing will increase marginal product. Okay? So, in this case, we're going to need to use more land. By increasing the amount of land that we're using, this number will fall. And that's because the marginal product is going to diminish as we add more of it. Remember the rule of diminishing marginal returns. So to bring this number down, we're going to have to apply or add more land. And that's the answer for that first one. For firm B, we have to take 150 divided by 25, and that's going to give us 6. Labor, 75 divided by 15 is 5. Capital, 300 divided by 50 is going to be 6. Now in this case, land and capital, our marginal product per dollar is already equal, but labor is too low. So we're going to have to bring the labor number up to hit our optimal combination of resources. So how are we going to bring this number up? Well, remember, increasing output will lower it, decreasing output will increase it. So our marginal product per dollar is going to rise by using less labor. So we need to decrease the amount of labor on this lower one in order to bring it up. Firm C should be 3 for land, 4 for labor, and 4 for capital. Notice labor and capital are equal this time. Land is not. Land is too low. So to bring this number up, I'm going to need to increase the marginal product per dollar. To increase the marginal product per dollar, we're going to have to use less of it. So we're going to use less land to raise that 3 to a 4. Firm D, land should be 2, labor is 3, and capital is 2. Now in this case, land and capital are already each at 2, labor is at 3. So in this one, our labor is too high. Our marginal product per dollar is too high. So to bring this down, we're going to have to add more of it. Now, if you notice the pattern here, what you're doing in each case is you're going to add more of the goods that are the highest to bring them down. Okay, so in this case, by adding more labor due to diminishing marginal return, each additional unit is going to give us less marginal product, which is going to lower our marginal product per dollar. So to bring this down, we have to hire more workers. For our last one, we are now going to be faced with a situation where we have a 1, a 6, and a 3. Now there's actually a couple of different ways you could go with this one. Because we don't already have two that are equal, you could actually increase labor and capital, or you could add more labor and less land. Either combination would get those numbers closer to being equal to each other. So when you're looking at the summary of all of them, let me go back here for a second. Let me get back to the summary. So in summary then, when you're looking at what we should do in this example, firm A, we want to increase land. Firm B, we wanted to use less labor. Firm C, we wanted to use less land. Firm D, we wanted to add more labor. Firm E, we could add more labor and capital, as I mentioned, or you could add more labor and less land to shoot for a middle ground point. So to summarize the least cost rule, we're again using the marginal product per price, right? So marginal product per unit, and you want to set them all equal to one another. Now this is going to tell us the most efficient use of resources to make a set or desired quantity of goods at least cost. It does not, however, tell us the profit maximizing output quantity. To find that, we have to use the MRP, and we're going to be using profit optimization rule. And that's part 2, or the back side of the worksheet. So in part 2, the profit maximization rule, we're still going to be comparing the marginal product to price, but we're going to use the marginal revenue product now. We're going to incorporate the revenue of the or the price of the actual good, which gives us the marginal revenue product, or the value of that marginal product. So we're looking at the value of the marginal product over the price. So MRP of capital, for example, over the price of capital, we want those to be equal to one another, therefore they should be equal to 1. So MRP sub C over P sub C should be equal. All right, so if it's 5 over 5, that's going to give us 1. So for the profit maximization rule, we want to set the MRP over P equal to 1 for all the goods. So we again have 5 firms here, and the marginal revenue product of labor is in the first column, price of labor is in the second column, the MRP of capital is in the third column, and the price of capital is in the fourth column. All right, so for these examples, we need to divide 18 by 15 and compare that to 50 over 40. Okay. Now in this particular case, the 18 over 15, all right, is not equal to the 50 over 40. So we're going to have to increase. We're going to have to hire more labor and hire more capital in order to get them equal to 1. Okay, now remember, why are we adding more? By adding more, we bring this number down. By adding more, we bring this number down such that we can get down to 40 and 15. For firm B, okay, firm B, the MRP is 60. Price of labor is 60. It's already at the correct position. We aren't going to touch it. MRP equals 100 here, and price is 100. Again, they're equal. That is already at 1. Firm C, we want to decrease both labor and capital. By decreasing the amount we're using, that's going to increase this number. Same thing over here. Firm D, 20 is too low. We want to get it up to 25. So because it's too low, all right, we're going to decrease the amount. By decreasing the amount, it raises the MRP. Over here, it's too high. So we want to increase the amount of capital to bring the MRP down. For firm E, MRP equals 15 here for labor. Labor is correct already. That is at its optimal price. And over here, our MRP is too high, so we want to add more capital to bring that number down. So when you're trying to determine profit maximizing, we always want to use the MRP over price equal to 1. And if we do that for each resource, it doesn't matter how many resources we're using, we will always have our profit maximization point. Now, a profit maximization combination will always be at a least cost position. But firms can have multiple least cost combinations. Only one of those least cost combinations, however, will be profit maximizing. So make sure you're using the right formula here if you're asked one of these questions. Okay, until next time, Mrs. Beaver and I are still available for office hours if you have any questions.